Okay, so this should go without saying, but if you suspect someone might be of a certain sexuality, whether it be gay or bi or straight or asexual, I don't care. Why are we still forcing people to come out? And I just saw this article about this kid who's 18, who he is a star on this TV series called Heartstopper on Netflix. I've heard of the show, never watched it, don't have Netflix. Um, and apparently, because his character is bi, a bunch of people on Twitter, which that should be taken with a grain of salt to begin with, because the people on Twitter are insane. I am on Twitter and I make the mistake of engaging these twat waffles. But anyway, apparently he was accused of queer baiting because I guess there was that fear that he was a straight guy playing a queer character. Now, um, even if that were true, that is none of your goddamn business. I understand that there is a there is a movement to have queer people play queer characters as opposed to having straight people do that. And I to some extent I understand why, because they want to have people who normally don't have a chance to get into acting to have that chance. I get that. Unfortunately, considering the stereotype of especially gay men, that they go into Broadway, they go into acting. I would think that that wouldn't be an issue. Now, trans, I get, because especially trans people who undergo surgeries, I can see why you would want someone who's actually trans to do that, simply because they're uniquely qualified to understand what it means to be trans. Because um every other with with sexuality, um it's basically just who you happen to be attracted to. So you can just so you know what it's like to be attracted to someone, unless you're asexual. You know what it's like to be attracted to someone romantically or sexually. And aces sometimes know what it's like to be platonically attracted or aesthetically attracted, but you know at some level what it's like to be attracted to a certain person. When it comes to being trans, even trans people can't explain what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman. They just know that they don't feel like they belong in this body. And I got into that little bit on my unpopular opinion of oh my god, my brain just died. Of non-binary. You know, I so I get that. People do not normally look down at their body parts and say, yeah, I don't feel comfortable that I have these. And I don't mean to the extent of, little kids not wanting to grow up. I'm talking, really having a visceral reaction to those body parts and really not wanting to go through puberty or whatever. Cis people don't get that. I'm cis. I do not understand looking down. I actually, when I was growing up and I would see other people who were more developed than me, I was upset rather than saying, yeah, I don't care. Or so cis people generally do not understand what it's like to be trans. But non-queer people can figure out the being attracted to someone else. They understand generally wanting to be in a relationship with a certain type of person. That part they get. So this push to have only gay people playing gay characters unfortunately leads to what happened to this poor kid who was actually chased away from Twitter, which at least he was grown up enough to understand Twitter bad, get away from that toxic shit. But people were bullying him for not stating his sexuality, which they seem to feel like they deserve to know simply because he was playing a bisexual character. Now, like I said, I get this with trans because they're uniquely qualified to understand what it's like to be trans. But if a straight person feels comfortable in a gay relationship, and this kid was playing a bisexual, he was a bisexual playing a bisexual, so it's not like he was only going to have to kiss boys. So it just and the cast even said, I thought we were beyond this. So I get that you want your gay characters to feel like, to feel comfortable in the fact that they are kissing someone of the same sex. But at the same time, it's none of your damn business what their sexuality is. When there was a brouhaha about Bucky, that people were queer coding him because of a throwaway line he said about dating apps. Yeah, that kind of pissed me off too, because that obviously was baiting. Now, the writers and producers were like, oh, we didn't know. Now, either there's some long game and they're going to make Bucky bi, or they thought that they were throwing the gay community a bone and didn't think that they would be this pissed off that you're still jerking them around. But nobody, not a person during that exchange, they got pissed off with Disney, but nobody questioned Sebastian Stan's, nobody questioned his sexuality. Nobody demanded to know, because there's this queer baiting, there's this queer coding. Nobody demanded that they know whether he's gay or straight. Nobody asked him to come out, because the man is straight, so technically no need to come out. But with this kid, and he was a kid. He's only 18 now, and I think this started a year or two ago. So he was not even technically an adult. He's barely an adult now, and people feel like they are owed being told someone's sexuality just because he plays a certain character on TV. Now, it's the only person you should be outing is yourself. If if you feel comfortable telling people your sexuality, and then great. I have no problem telling people. I don't ever technically come out because people already know how I feel. I just add a label. This kid doesn't want to go about labels. He just wants to be himself, and people are forcing him to check a box simply because then it'll validate their idea of what type of person should be playing this character. And I'm sorry, that's not your business. I mean, if you want to question his acting, fine. Fine, he's a public person. You want to question his acting, go for it. But to question whether he is even gay, or in this case, bi, to even question that either means his acting sucks and you don't believe he's actually who he's pretending to be, or or you're just pissed off that a straight person or someone that you perceive as straight could be doing a good job in a role. I honestly don't know what the reasoning is. But this Kid Cooper, even said, he came back to Twitter just to say that thanks for forcing an 18-year-old to out themselves when they weren't ready. And that's heartbreaking. Because I'm sorry, we went through this with Perez Hilton in the 80s. He would just gleefully mention that, oh, so and so is gay, I know it. And for whatever reason, whether they're right or wrong, the fact is, it is not your story to tell. If someone is ready to come out of the closet, that's up to them. Because yes, he might be playing a bisexual character, but that might be simply because that's the only place he can feel free to be himself. And that's the only way he can express himself, and that in this world he feels comfortable being himself. And his family, he's afraid of, I mean, he's only 18 now. So who are we to force a kid to choose between being kicked out by his family or his acting job, because you have taken it upon yourself to decide who deserves to be in these roles? Just because he is now a celebrity does not mean that his life is without struggles. And for a lot of people, coming to terms with their sexuality is one of them. And for others, it just, they're like, yeah, I don't care if what you're saying about me. I'm going to be who I am, and if you don't like it, screw you. This kid only is now 18. Most 18-year-olds are not going to do that. They're going to feel pressured. And it's just totally sophomoric to talk about someone's sexuality or to even question their sexuality. I mean, if you want to question a character's sexuality, that, oh, they're doing this storyline, so does that mean they're this? Fine. The actors, I know that because they're celebrities, you seem to be under the impression that they have no personal lives. But guess what? Yes, they do. And they struggle to understand themselves just like anybody else. I didn't learn about the aromantic asexual community until I was in my 30s. I knew the word of asexual, but I didn't know aromantic, and I sure as hell didn't know there was a community. So, why do you feel like you are owed an explanation by these characters, by these actors, just because of a character they play? I mean, this makes no sense to me. Let the person live. If you want to discuss the character and their sexuality and or their gender identity, fine. But leave the actors out of it. That's why it's called acting. Because it's not, you cannot assume that these people are who they portray on TV. Now, obviously, a lot of actors migrate to certain roles because there's similarities, but it's not up to you to decide what those similarities are unless you know the person or you've met the person and they've said something to you. So, seriously, leave actors out of it. If their sexuality is none of your business. If they are trans, it is none of your goddamn business. Unless they want to make it public that they're transitioning. Or for queer people, if they come out of the closet. Then that's fine for you to bemoan it or, congratulate them or, like I said, be a dick and bemoan that they're not the sexuality you want them to be or the gender you want them to be or whatever. But it is not your place to force someone to take a stand and say, I'm this. Because you don't know what this person is going through. I actually had this conversation just this morning. A person was like, oh, this person's living their best life. How the fuck do you know that? Robin Williams, famous guy, celebrity for years, funny guy, committed suicide because he was depressed. So no, just because someone is famous, just because someone's a celebrity, does not mean they're living their best life. It means they just happen to be able to make money. Okay, they're rich. Newsflash, rich people have problems. Yes, they have a lot of privilege, but that doesn't mean they're not human. I realize that Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg gives people the impression that rich people are just robots, but they're not. They have feelings, they have their struggles, and it's not up to you to force someone to decide what part of themselves they're going to make public because you've decided that you need to know. Because no, you don't need to know. You do not need to know an actor's sexuality. Now, if they want to go public with a relationship they're in, fine. That's perfectly their prerogative. And if you want to bestow on them a label just because of whomever they happen to be dating, fine. It's then up to them to whether they want to confirm or deny that they fit that label. But It is not up to you to bully someone into first running out of social media and then coming back to say, fuck you, yes, this is who I am. That should not be something that is a part of their journey. Nobody should feel like they should come out just because a bunch of assholes on Twitter feel like they're owed something because you happen to be famous and they're your fans. No, no, they don't owe you shit. Just, you don't own them just because you happen to be fans of them. I mean, you want to be fans? You're fans of them because of their character. Not because of, maybe you're fans of them because of who they are as a person. But then you would respect that person as opposed to forcing them to open up about something they're not ready to do. And I don't care how old these people are. In this case, it's an 18-year-old. But otherwise, it really does not matter how old they are. It is not up to you to force someone to come out. I mean, for years, Barry Manilow was a gay icon and it was speculated that he was gay. But the reason he was able to come out, just a few years ago, and same thing with George Takei, is because nobody bullied them into doing it. Nobody's like, oh, well, we need to know because you're doing this, and this. We need to make sure that you actually deserve those accolades, so you need to tell us. No, they don't. No, they don't. If you feel that they don't deserve to be considered, oh, I don't know, a gay icon or to play a bisexual on TV, that's just too damn bad that you feel that way. Don't watch the fucking show. Or, don't listen to Barry Manilow's music. I don't care. And I'm sure that they're not going to be out of a job just because, a bunch of assholes decide that they need to pry into someone's personal life in to assure themselves that, I don't know, that something's authentic. I honestly don't know what the purpose of this is. They are playing a character. Actors play characters. Barry Manilow did not set out to be a gay icon. He set out to make music. He just became a gay icon. And then he finally came out. And for a lot of people, it was just confirmation of what they always knew, but no one that I'm aware of ever bugged him to come out. Same with George Takei. I don't think anyone went after him so sure he was gay or anything, which is because social media really, really sucks. So, and yeah, we're destroying people. We're destroying ourselves because we're becoming sewage. Because people will feel entitled to something that they're not. So, and yes, there are plenty of celebrities who will talk about their personal lives on social media. But guess what? That's their choice. They do not get forced to do it. And they shouldn't be forced. So, I'm just ranting and ranting, so I'm going to stop it there. But just remember, if you see an actor that you think is gay for whatever reason, whether they fit a certain stereotype or they're playing a queer character, they don't owe you any of that. They don't owe you confirmation of your feelings. If you want to be a dick and assume that someone is such a sexuality or such a gender identity, you're just outing yourself as an asshole. And nobody should feel forced to confront that question until they're ready to. What and maybe some people might be like, yeah, you know what? It's nobody's damn business. So I'm just not going to say anything. That's valid too. A lot of people who do eventually come out do it because a lot of people feel the need to see someone who looks like themselves. And that's fine too. But that should be their decision, not because a bunch of holier than thou dipshits think that they are owed an explanation for why a certain actor was chosen to play a character because you've decided that they must be X, Y, and Z. You can bemoan that, oh, I wish such and such a person was playing this character or whatever. That's fine. Like I said, because of talent, because of this is how you envision this character, fine. But you are not owed an explanation from the actors themselves to defend their personal sexualities simply because they're playing a character. I think I'm just repeating myself at this point, so I will see you next time.